AirAsia Group reported a huge first-quarter net loss, hurt by weaker air travel demand, higher maintenance and overhaul costs, losses on settlement from fuel hedging and fair value loss on derivatives. The budget carrier swung to a net loss of 803.8 million ringgit from a net profit of 96.1 million ringgit in the previous corresponding period. Revenue tumbled by 15% year-on-year to 2.3 billion ringgit. AirAsia said it carried 22% less passengers during the quarter. Load factor fell to 77%, while cost per available seat kilometre rose by 36%. AirAsia Group CEO Tan Sri Tony Fernandez said the pandemic is by far the toughest challenge the carrier has ever faced, although he says there has been a strong rebound in demand, a trend he expects to continue in the coming months. He said the group has already brought cash expenses down by at least 50% this year and applied for bank loans to shore up liquidity. He said AirAsia has also been presented with proposals to raise capital to strengthen its equity base and/or liquidity from a number of investment bankers, lenders, as well as potential investors. CGS-CIMB Research says the potential realignment of the East Coast Rail Link, or ECRL, could inflate its current cost by as much as 46% or 20 billion ringgit to 64 billion ringgit. Over the weekend, The Edge Malaysia reported that a clutch of officials in the Transport Ministry is mooting a plan to revert to the original alignment that was proposed by the then BN government. The realignment, which could affect 25% of the 640-kilometre track, is centred in the last section, which will see the scope switched from Putrajaya Port Klang back to Gombak Port Klang. Citing the weekly, CGS-CIMB Research analyst Sharizan Rosley said the development came as a surprise, given that the railway scheme was approved in 2019 and the overall project progress stood at 16%. He said there is also the likelihood of further delays in the project, as any changes would need the green light from the cabinet. Sharizan also called the development a setback for the local construction sector, since the realignment would mainly benefit turnkey contractor China Communications Construction Co., or CCCC, which is in charge of the majority of the project's tunnelling works. The Kuala Lumpur High Court has ordered former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak's son, Datuk Muhammad Nasifuddin, to cough up 37.6 million ringgit in unpaid taxes to the Inland Revenue Board pending his appeal. This is after it allowed an application for summary judgment by the taxman in its lawsuit against him. A summary judgment is a judgment that is entered by the court without a full trial in which witnesses testify. The IRB, via the government, filed the writ of summons against Muhammad Nasifuddin on July 24th last year. It claims that he owes the said sum in unpaid taxes for the years 2011 to 2017, as stated in an assessment notice dated March 15th, 2019. Justice Dato' Ahmad Zaidi Ibrahim ruled that based on the facts, the case was clear and obvious, since it clearly showed that assessment notices were served to Nasifuddin and that he had even filed a tax appeal to reassess the amount. The Kuala Lumpur High Court will fix on August 10th new dates for the trial of Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, who is facing 2 counts of money laundering charges involving 9.5 million ringgit allegedly received from Datuk Sri Najib Razak and 2 charges of making false statements to the IRB for not including the 9.5 million ringgit in his tax filing that year. His counsel, Sarah Abishagam, requested that the new trial dates are set after the completion of 2 of her clients' applications to challenge the appointment of former Federal Court Judge Datuk Sri Gopal Sri Ram as lead prosecutor in Najib's 1MDB trial. The applications will be heard on July 13th and 24th. Prior to this, the court fixed 16 days beginning March 9th for the trial. UMNO has withdrawn an application to cite CIMB Bank for contempt as it regained access to its accounts containing 192.2 million ringgit belonging to the party. UMNO lawyer Tanya Shavetti told High Court Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan today of their intention to withdraw the contempt application before the court. Meanwhile, CIMB's lawyer Rabindranathan confirmed the party had been granted full access to its accounts as of last Friday. UMNO sought to cite CIMB for contempt last week as the bank had not released its monies despite an order from the High Court on June 19th for an immediate release. Its accounts were frozen by the MACC in 2018, but the court ruled that the funds could not be convincingly said to be from former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak, and there was no proof that the funds came from unlawful activities.